Mass extinction, exposure to the sun's dangerous rays, and a liquidized crust. Sounds like something from a disaster movie, but it would all become a reality if, for some reason, the Earth's core were to cool down. The inner workings of our planet are instrumental to the way that we live and survive on the surface, and any change to this would be devastating. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the current theories on the structure of the Earth, what this means for us, and what would happen if it were to cool down. First, let's talk about the Earth's structure. The Earth is made up of a series of spherical shells, each of which has different properties in terms of their chemical makeup. The outermost shell, the crust, is the one that we live on, and the only one we have directly observed, because digging beneath it is currently beyond our technical capabilities. Thus, our knowledge about everything within relies upon studies of how waves travel through the planet, such as those produced by earthquakes, and inferring what kind of material they have passed through. And from this, researchers believe that the crust is between 3 and 45 miles thick and is made up of rock-like granite and basalt, most of which have formed within the last 100 million years. There is evidence, though, that the Earth once had a solid surface, much like today, for up to 4.4 billion years. The next layer down is known as the mantle, and this is the thickest layer of the Earth. It is about 1,800 miles thick and is composed of silicate rocks that are rich in iron and magnesium. The mantle is classified as being solid, but the rocks here are hot enough that they move like a liquid over long periods of time. Beneath the mantle is the Earth's core, which is split into the inner and outer core. The outer core is about 1,400 miles thick and is a liquid core made up of iron and nickel. Temperatures here range between 4,400 degrees Celsius or 7,950 degrees Fahrenheit to 6,100 degrees Celsius or 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The inner core, on the other hand, is thought to be solid, with a radius of about 760 miles, which makes it around 70% of the size of the moon. It is thought to be made up of giant iron-nickel alloy crystals, with the central ones being aligned east to west and the outer ones being aligned north to south. The temperatures here are believed to be similar to those seen on the surface of the sun at around 5,505 degrees Celsius or just under 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So what kind of effects does the Earth's core have? The combination of the heat and the materials that make up the Earth's core have an integral effect on the way that the planet works. The protective magnetic bubble around the Earth, for example, is generated from it, and this prevents deadly radiation and particles from hitting the Earth's surface, and instead turns them into glorious light shows like the aurora borealis. Plate tectonics, the way that parts of the crust move around and regenerate the surface, are also reliant on the heat from the core, and their activity helps to replenish the crust with new rock and to add heat to the environment. Which brings us to the question, what if the core's temperature dropped? If the core's temperature were to drop or even freeze, then it would be catastrophic for everything on the surface. The main effect would be removal of the magnetic shield, and this would expose us to harmful cosmic radiation and emissions from the sun. Researchers don't exactly agree on how this might affect us, but there are theories that it could cause cancer, overheat the planet, and scorch basically everything, or it might even leave us victims to solar winds powerful enough to blow the oceans from the planet, similar to events that we believe happened on Mars and Venus. There's also a theory that says that if the Earth's core was to cool suddenly, then it would cause the Earth to shrink. And it doesn't have to shrink by much. A contraction of just 1% would see the surface drop by a number of miles, and if this were to happen, it would generate a huge amount of heat that would liquefy the mantle and all life on it in the process. The good thing is the Earth can still recover. Eventually, this heat would make it back into the core, reheat it, and there's a chance that the planet would become habitable again in a billion years or so. So how could this happen? Well, the Earth's core is actually cooling down, but at an incredibly slow rate. It's going to take billions of years for it to be cool enough for the effects we've spoken about to occur. So natural processes aren't anything really to worry about. Sci-fi movies, on the other hand, have suggested that man-made events were or cosmic occurrences could speed up this process. Perhaps an accidental experiment involving unknown particles where exposure to a highly charged beam of electromagnetic radiation from a pulsar could interrupt the core stability and cause a cooldown. So basically, there is a very small chance that a cooldown could happen suddenly. In conclusion, the Earth's core is one of the things that differentiates our planet from the others in our solar system, and without which we wouldn't have the conditions needed on the surface to survive. And if it was to actually cool down, conditions would soon become uninhabitable, and our fertile planet would become a giant frozen space rock just like our galactic neighbors. Luckily, the chances of this happening are quite remote, but you never know. And if it ever really does happen, then I guess we need to send a huge drill into the Earth's core with a bunch of scientists, and then we'd be okay. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and give us a like if you enjoyed this video. See you next time.